Tonight, we'll speak with one of the presidential candidates in the race. Is a presidential candidate of the AAC, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. He joins us live in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Sowore, for joining us tonight.
Good evening.
Your second time around?
Yes.
You ready?
Very ready.
What makes this time around different from the last time?
A number of things. I think in 2019, Nigerians were not exposed to so many of the things we're talking about, of inequality in society, the fact that Nigeria was tipping over. And I was the only candidate who participated in 2019 that did not stop campaigning or advocacy. I engaged immediately after the election in a number of revolutionary activities that took me to jail, came out of it, and it was part of virtually every education and conscientization of the citizenry to let them know the mistake they made in 2019. And we are here now. So many of those things are percolated down to the people. They've come to understand that we were saying the truth, and they wish they took our advice in 2019. So I'm back, not that I went anywhere, to just exercise that duty to take Nigerians, away from the tipping point until a turnaround. And I honestly felt like if only I played just my campaign videos in 2019, I only need to do much more work in 2023. But there were people who didn't vote in 2019 who are now eligible to vote, and we need to keep talking to them on these issues that can make sure that we do not continue in this trajectory of failure that has become the national mantra of Nigeria. And for those of us who have been around for so long, in my case, 32 years of experience fighting for democracy, consolidating democracy, and assuring that the people of Nigeria are not shortchanged in the course of being citizens of this country, it is time for us to take it to a home run.
Your slogan from the last time seems to have changed.
It hasn't changed. It just has evolved based on the dynamic nature of the political situation in Nigeria. In 2019, we were using Take It Back. We still use it. But we've gotten to a point where we are emphatic that we can't continue like this. That's the new slogan.
With your campaign the last time, you only garnered about 33,000 votes.
I was allocated 33,000 votes by INEC.
You don't think that that's the original votes that you got?
I have said it on oath, under oath, when I was arrested and I ran, that I didn't believe that the election was legit. I said it on.
What makes you think so?
Because I knew.
You must have. I mean, you should have, or you must have evidence to back your claims.
Even though I was not involved in election litigation matters, the litigation of that election, showed the underbelly of the election. It wasn't legit election. We were there. I participated in elections. So
but the court said otherwise.
Well, because there are times that you have court of law and court of justice. There was no justice in that pronouncement, in my view.
This time around, AAC, there are a lot of troubles between 2019 and this time around. The tussle over leadership. For those who think that you were not, you came and snatched, or you came and took over the structure of the party.
Not true. I founded the party.
There are issues in your party.
We founded the party. There's no way you can steal what belongs to you.
Have you resolved those issues in your party?
Yes, the Court of Appeal judgment has resolved that as of June 2nd, 2022.
And there hasn't been any appeal on that matter?
Not that I know of. There was an appeal at the Court of Appeal, but I was told that after reading through the judgment, which was declarative, they withdrew the appeal. But, I'm sure with people like us and parties, revolutionary parties, the troubles never end. We're fighters, revolutionaries, so we can expect any surprise at any time. But we're always ready.
You were considered one of the alternatives in 2019. With the state of the race right now, ahead of 2023, do you see yourself as one of the alternatives? Third force was the word that was used at the time. This time around, is it fourth or fifth force, or what? Where do you stand?
I'd never accepted to be regarded as a second-class person or third-class person. we are running a race. Everybody should bring their ideas, their manifestos, and everything they've got positive to the table. It is up to the media to call people or label people whatever they like. I only attended a meeting in 2019 where they said all the young candidates should meet. And when I got there, I knew that it wasn't the kind of thing I wanted to do. And I went out to espouse my ideas. I traveled to 34 to 35 states in Nigeria. And I didn't have a helicopter or a private jet. Reached out to people in the north, south, east, everywhere. These ideas were clearly documented. And I spoke extensively about how to pull Nigeria out of the doldrums. When you talk about alternatives, that means you have already accepted there's a first class, second class, or third class, or forces. The only forces we should be talking to are the Nigerian people, the forces who want to liberate themselves at all costs. That's the only cause.
Can you compare your structure or your party with the? There's some party that are being on the ground before your party came in.
Yes.
And you and I, as we seated here,
yes,
there's someone who is being into this world before the other.
Yes.
There's definitely someone who's been in this studio before the other.
Yes.
There is an advantage of the first comer. There is an advantage of size also, and there is an advantage of resources. Do you agree that there are some parties who are bigger than your party or your own platform in terms of the structure, the number of their members, and that could be an advantage over your own platform?
There are a lot of big for-nothing parties in Nigeria. Ours is a compact party that's focused on pulling Nigerians out of poverty and misery. I do not consider big parties on the basis of size. I consider them on the basis of relevance and importance and value that they bring to the people of the country. We used to have big parties in this country who boasted, bragged that they will be around for 60 years. And overnight, they were defeated. So I don't want conversations to surround the mathematics of size, but it should be the mathematics of relevance and content. And that's where we keep talking to the Nigerian people about. Our party came into existence in 2018, August. There were 29 parties formed on that day. You probably haven't heard about any one of them. There were a number of presidential candidates in 2018 and 2019 that came out, who are not part of the legacy parties. I'm probably the only one who's around today because I never stopped doing what I've always spoken to Nigerian people about, that the issues are more important than the people who are in these big parties and the money that they have. And what I said in 2018 and 2019 is now what those people who were mocking us in 2018 and 2019 are doing. That they used to mock us that we don't have structures. But we told them the people of Nigeria are the political structures of Nigeria. And wherever they decide to pitch their tent is where the structures will be. And that's what they are now using. That, we don't need structures. We need people. Because structures are nomenclatures for how you define pockets of interest politically. But people don't go anywhere, even when the structures change name, they change character, and they change in their nature. And that's what we've been saying to the Nigerian people.
If you said that you don't believe and you don't agree or accept the 33,000 plus votes you got in 2019, what do you perhaps imagine was the number of votes that you got in 2019?
There's no way you can calculate the number of votes you got if your votes were passed through a basket in which that had no credibility. I cannot be imagining that this would be the number of votes when the processes for voting, counting, and announcing results are completely compromised. And that was what 2019 was about.
You think 2023 will be different?
Well, we hope it will be. And if it's not, they better be ready for the consequences. It's not a threat. It's our fundamental rights to participate in elections and get the right results.
Have you ever seen yourself in the spiritual eyes or in the psychological eyes or in your mental picture yourself becoming Nigeria's president?
Oh, yes.
How many times have you seen yourself doing that?
It's not spiritual. I think it's a function of my belief in my citizenry, I believe in my dreams and aspirations. I've been seeing myself as I said it that I would have been a better president of Nigeria at the age of 22 than the guy who was president at that time, the military leader, Babangida, or Abacha, when I was in my 20s. I would have done a better job than any one of them. I'm not saying it to brag. I knew it that mentally I would have governed this country better than all these persons. And it's what I call on young people in Nigeria. Don't let anybody douse the validity of your dreams as long as you believe in yourself. Because that is those kind of ideas that made those big countries that we refer to as at all times about how great they are. But you look at their leaders, they're young people who believe in themselves. Even when they are old people, they are driven by new ideas. Here, old ideas, old people, analog and antiquated thinking. There's no country that can survive this kind of very deadly, poisonous cocktail of leadership.
So you are prepared for 2023 campaign and the race, and you think for you have learned your lessons.
I didn't lose any lessons that I need to learn. I'm telling you, that
you don't think that there's something you need to do differently to win the election this time around?
Of course, there's always something to do better of in every election cycle. Like I said, you have new demographic coming into the new elections. There's a way you talk to them. There are ways in which you interact and engage with them that's probably different from 1979 when you relied on radio jingles. There's now Twitter, there's TikTok, there is Facebook, there is Instagram. There are new players on the field. But these are dynamics that goes with development.
But do you think you resonate with the demography that you're referring to?
Absolutely. And how do we do it, or how do you know it, is because of the issues and the ideas that is running the campaigns even today. I'll tell you, I don't want to mention names, but even some of the newer candidates today who are making a buzz practically took a leaf from our campaign strategies in 2018 and 2019. This idea of traveling to the diaspora, I did it in 2019. I went all the way to Australia, 4 cities, 7 cities in the US, 5 cities in Canada. I went to South Africa. I went to Ghana.
Are you doing that this time around?
Well, I don't have an international passport because the Buhari regime is still holding my international passport and have not allowed me to travel. I still have a treason charge hanging on my neck as I'm speaking with you tonight. That has not been resolved.
Are you able to travel outside of Abuja?
Yes, that's been resolved. So I'll be in Lagos on Monday.
Okay.
And I've been to Ondo State and Nasarawa State since that was resolved in the Court of Appeal.
Do you perhaps consider that some of your approach the last time was perhaps extreme?
Name one.
No, I'm asking. It's a question.
No, because I don't know. You have to tell me. You are the one who is.
No, I'm asking you the question.
There's no.
You are assessing to move forward.
There's nobody
so the question
who has faulted my approach.
No, I'm asking you if you consider if you're being charged for treason.
No,
that means there's something
I was charged for treason.
That was being questioned.
No, I was charged for treason.
If you didn't win the election, that means that something went wrong.
No.
If you are going again to campaign to be Nigeria's president and another term, that means there's something that didn't go right, man.
No, what didn't go right is the Nigerian factor, as we like to call it. If in 2019 I was allowed to debate Buhari and Atiku in the national TV, there's no way half of the country will not change their mind that night. But I was excluded. If in 2019 I had the resources that we needed to reach as far as where we should go, including sometimes security. You're entitled as a citizen to get security. The police, we applied to the Nigerian police, they didn't provide us security, even though we traveled to 35 states, including Korende, Zamfara, Sokoto, some of the.
But they gave others.
They gave others, yes.
Others got this, and that's the reason, one of the reasons I'm asking. Do you consider your approach perhaps out of place? What could have caused you being denied, based on your claims, some of these privileges?
Because the Nigerian state is an oppressive state and is intolerant of citizens. And what they do is only to take care of a few of them and they exclude the rest. Exclusion is not a political policy and practice that's acceptable in a democracy. So it's just like asking Mandela why the apartheid regime did not allow him to get security at his house when he was fighting against the regime. That's what happened to me. I was charged for treason the same way Mandela was charged for treason. I'm not comparing myself to Mandela in any way. I was charged for treason because I questioned authority. I was charged for treason because I said enough was enough and Nigeria needed a revolution, and I still believe that today. So It's not that I did anything wrong. It's that something is wrong with the Nigerian system and Nigerian leaders or rulers. And that's what we've exposed up to this point. So there's nothing extreme.
So
if anything at all.
You had time to introspect.
Oh, introspection was it. Look, if you spend 4 months in detention, solitary confinement, you have plenty of time to sleep, introspect, read, especially when you don't have a cell phone with you, no distraction. And I came out after 4.5 months in detention. I became a better person, stronger, more courageous. I left the place based on the prediction I gave them. I said, when it's time to release me, you come and beg me to leave. They came at 2 p.m., say, Sowore, go and pack your things. I said, I'm not ready to leave yet. It was Christmas Eve. They came begging. I said, didn't I remind you that when you are done with your stupidity, you will ask me to come and go? Of course, they haven't run the course of that already, but it will still come to pass because these are some of the things that must happen in the country for that rebirth to happen. And that's where Nigeria is headed. It's the reason I was telling you that whether they like it or not, let them go and rig the election. People are using the election as a way of saying, okay, maybe they'll get their senses right. If the elections don't get it right, people will resort to other options. Yes.
I mean, you are 4 years older from the last time.
Yes, I'm 51 years old now.
You are 51 now.
Yes.
So there are perhaps things, and you have crossed a certain, you have moved to the fifth
decade of my life.
Yeah. So, and there are some things that you not do, now that you are now over 50.
Like what? Tell me.
I don't know. I'm building up a question.
Yes.
And you have always fought and always cried about exclusion and said, oh, you're this and that. Perhaps there are reasons for this happening. For those who are criticized you in 2019, that there is some kind of youthful exuberance that you've expressed or shown, and that was one of the problems at the time. How would you react to that?
No. People say that when they have nothing to pin on you. You know, when I was in the university at the age of 22, and we were fighting for June 12th, fighting with Abibola, do you know what they used to call us? Delinquent, juveniles. They used to accuse us of juvenile delinquency. It's university students. They don't know what they are doing. But it was the same delinquent juveniles that delivered democracy to Nigeria. In 1999, I was one of them. Femi Falana, Gani Fawemi. They call them names. Fela Anikulapo Kude, they say, oh, he's always on drugs, Becker Ransom Kude, they say it's a doctor who doesn't want to practice medicine because he doesn't know medicine. There's nothing they don't call us. That comes with the nature of our calling. So what is youthful exuberance in asking for democracy or asking that the thieves in the country...
But perhaps you're not the only one asking for such.
No.
But perhaps your approach. That's why I brought out the issue of approach.
The question of approach is conviction sometimes. It's a question of how quick and how fast you want to liberate yourself.
Let me take you up on your social media engagement. Yeah. You seem to be all out against supporters of Peter Obi.
No.
The obedience.
No.
I mean, and your comments on social media as being regarded as harsh against the obedient movement. Why so?
No, that's not true. The only time I've spoken about them is when I realized that they were harassing people, and as a person who believes in human rights, I just said to them, you don't have to tell people who to support and who not to support. And this idea of trolling and harassing people might get people killed. And one of my first interventions that is considered harsh was even in support of Reno Mockery, somebody who has done everything in this world to lie against me. But, when it comes to his fundamental rights and he has a 1-year-old daughter who he said was genuinely threatened, I came in and said, this is wrong. You shouldn't be threatening a 1-year-old girl. And nobody should be threatened because...
So you don't see Peter Obi as a threat?
No. Why would I see Peter Obi? Peter Obi is part of the old system that I've always fought. I understand where he's coming from. This is 1999 repeated. Nigeria wants to change. Some young people are genuinely interested in change, different direction, and then they are presented with somebody who works for the establishment, somebody who has been in PDP, ABGA, come back to PDP, Labour Party. Is not new to a rotten system. Somebody who was 8 years as governor of a state. You can be emotional about it, but that's the truth. They didn't, build any schools, didn't build any industry, didn't have a power station, It's not my kind of progressive.
So anybody that is in government, as far as you're concerned,
anybody that's been in government for 8 years and has nothing to show for it, it's not my right candidate for.
There are a few people who have been in government that are running in this race. The candidate of the PDP is there. The candidate of the APC is
maybe
there.
you have not been following my social media postings. That's why you said maybe I'm against obedience. I've been after Atiku. I've been after Emilokon, Bola Tinubu. I've been after Kwakwanso, but less because, I don't have much.
Why do you go after them?
I go after them because we need engagement in elections. Elections are not just about espousing ideas. It's about telling people who they can vote for and who they shouldn't vote for.
Whose turn is it this time around?
Our turn. The people's turn. Our look on.
So, in this sense, why should Nigerians look your way? Or why should the demography you were describing earlier look in your direction?
I think what people present to voters is one, records. They present integrity. They present ideas, programs. And I have said it. If there's any candidate running in this race that's been consistently on the side of the people, in my own case, 32 years experience on the side of the people, helping to fight for democracy, consolidate democracy, fight all the bad guys, somebody who will stand up for you in the middle of the night. If a policeman is harassing you, beating you up, I'm the person. If someone who you know has never participated in stealing resources of the state, has never participated in any conspiracy against the Nigerian people, has never, ever participated in any shady activity politically, personally, you can look in my direction.
What is the biggest idea you think you bring to the table?
The biggest idea is liberation and freedom for Nigerian people, and this includes economic freedom, security, it includes their right to education, it includes their right to healthcare, free healthcare. So many of these things can be provided for free, and most importantly, to restore the dignity of the Nigerian person, and by extension, people of Africa. I mean, Pan-Africanist is the reason why our party is the African Action Congress. It's not the Nigerian Action Congress. Because I know if Nigeria gets it right, this is a trigger. The African Peace Tool will fire the right way.
Unfortunately, we will not be able to discuss your manifesto because the time is not ripe just yet. But
well, I hope you keep bringing me back.
We'll bring you back,
yes.
Definitely. You are a presidential candidate, and you have the right to speak your mind. The law permits you to do so, isn't it? Thank you so much.
Even when it doesn't, my rights can trump the law if the law is unjust.
Thank you. Omoyele Sowore, the candidate of the AAC. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you so much for bringing me.